Hi, this is Chatterboxing. I'm Sean, and I'm going to talk about last night's fights in Liverpool. Ryan Burnett, Ryan Farrag, Luke Campbell, Derry Matthews, and Tony Bellew, BJ Flores. And also the situation a little bit with David Haye and Tony Bellew. Right, okay, let's start with Ryan Farrag, Ryan Burnett. Very good fight, very entertaining fight. I had Ryan Burnett, as most people did, winning very, very comfortably. Credit to Ryan Farrag for staying in there, really, because he was taking some big punches. But he managed to not only hold his own, but also, give quite a bit back, in spite of being on the back foot, up against the ropes quite a few times. I've seen Ryan Burnett quite a few times, and I do like him. I like his style. He's got a very good amateur background. He kind of, the first few rounds, he really did look like a typical Adam Booth trained fighter. He was kind of out of range, trying to use his agility really to kind of get his opponent off balance and then leap in with big leading punches, whether that be hooks or kind of like straights, but coming like three of them at the same time. Hands down, typical like how like David Haye, George Groves used to fight. The difference between him seemingly to those two, though, is that both of those two, especially David Haye, are very big punchers. He doesn't seem to be a particularly big puncher. I mean, he has some kind of punch on him, but he's not, he's not going to like leap in and just really rock you like those two would. So I do like a bit of that, and it kind of suits him for a bit. But I did think at first he was kind of, I think it was like the fifth round when he kind of changed it up and started fighting on the inside, and that's really when he started to dominate the fight. And before then, he was catching him with better punches, and he was winning. But I think Ryan Farrag could kind of handle that a bit better. And one thing I would say as well, he's quite, when he sort of leaps in like that, he's quite vulnerable. Because especially with the straight hands, because he kind of, I don't know, presumably he'll get better at this, but in terms of his judgment at distance, a couple of times it was slightly off. So he misjudged the range slightly, so he kind of overextended himself or land just a bit short. Against Ryan Farrag last night, he wasn't really able to capitalise on that, but you'd think against, top class opposition, he could have got himself into some trouble there with that. I preferred him when he was a bit more measured. He came in the fifth round, got in close, started really working the body, pushing him back. And then as the fight went on, he started doing different stuff as well, getting behind the jab a little bit, some nice counter punches, but working his way in a bit more, not just literally sort of out there waiting and then just leaping in with a big hook or a big three-punch combination. I'm not saying I don't like him doing that, but I think it's good. I like the way he mixed it up and started doing different stuff. If he relied too much on that, I don't think that it's going to be that difficult to fight against. When David Haye used to do that, David had a massive punch on him. George Groves as well. So it's a lot more intimidating for your opponent. When he's coming in all the feints and you think you're going to get, sort of David Haye right hand on the end of it, you're a lot more reluctant to, try and time him with something. Whereas with Ryan Burnett, if he doesn't have that kind of punching power, then potentially I think it's quite a risky strategy. If he's doing it constantly, as I say, in that last fight, he kind of changed it up from like the fifth round onwards, and I thought it was a very good performance. I think he's got a very good defence as well. He'll come in, he's effortlessly. He'll be like moving forward, like blocking, ducking under at the same time, blocking from both sides, blocking his body, his head, slipping. All at the same time, like sort of coming forward, just really fluid movement. And I do like that. The only one thing I'd say, he had him on the ropes a few times, and he couldn't really seem to get him particularly. I mean, credit to Ryan Farrag, he kind of covered up quite well, but he's really unloaded on him, and he basically hitting him pretty much all on the arms. So, I would have liked to have seen him perhaps, a bit more patience, take a step back maybe, and just like really try and pick it, or possibly like step to the side, hit him there. But he's obviously learning his game, and all things considered, it was a very good performance. So I'm kind of nitpicking a little bit, but I would say that he should be doing that a bit more. Rather than just sort of unloading on him when he's on the ropes like that. A little step back, step to the side, change the angle a little bit, and then try and hit him there. Because Ryan Farrag was basically just covered up completely, and he was just hitting him basically elbows, arms, and he possibly could have stopped him. I don't know if he's, like, as I say, the biggest puncher in the world, but he could be doing more damage if he was kind of picking his shots a bit better. But yeah, anyway, very good performance from him. A lot more positives than negatives. I like the fact, as I say, that he kind of switched it up, showed versatility, great movement. So yeah, we'll see where he goes from here. I'm not sure really what's in the pipeline for him. Not sure who. I mean, he's like British champion. Probably ready to push on now. If anyone can think of any good opponents they'd like to see him against, let me know in the comments section. All right, moving on to Luke Campbell against Derry Matthews. Derry Matthews has obviously been around a long time. He's been in there with some good names. He's beat Anthony Crolla. Admittedly, this is before Anthony Crolla had his kind of big run of form where he was beating the world champion and became a world champion and beating the likes of Barroso, Perez, etc., having a close-ish fight with Jorge Linares. This is obviously before then, but still, it's a good win. He's beaten some good people at domestic level. Tommy Coyle, a few others. He fought Terry Flanagan in his last fight for a world title. He lost, but still he's in there. He's been in with some good names, so he's a decent opponent. He did seem a little bit slow to me at the start. He was kind of a bit not the most fluid of movers, and Luke Campbell did really look like a class above from the start. He was basically just very quick on his feet, move in and out of distance very slightly, good, come in, hit him a couple of times, move off to the side, beating him with the angles, with the foot speed, sharp punches, and really he just completely outclassed him, so it's a very good win for him. What I do like about Luke Campbell, I like the fact that he's based himself out in Miami now, and he's training with the Cuban. I think he's like the Cuban Olympic coach, and he's worked with people like Guillermo Rigondeaux. I don't know if he's worked with people like Lara, but some top quality Cuban boxers, and out in Miami as well. There's obviously some good Americans out there. I'm not sure who he's training now, professionally, but David Haye was saying that he trained under him, and he rates him very highly. So I like that. I like the fact that he's kind of adding some new strings to his bow. He obviously came up through the UK, the British Olympic team, and he had that great facilities there, great coaching, good investment there was in that. So he's got the benefit of that, and now he's moved out to Miami, and he's taken he's got a very good Cuban coach, so he's taken in a lot of new stuff. So yeah, I like that. That's a good attitude, and that's good. Good, I like that. That's what you want to see. You want to see him kind of taking on new things, learning new stuff, picking up a few new tricks. You could see that in this one. He did have quite a few new tricks up his sleeve. David Haye was saying that this, I can't remember his name, Jorge something. But anyway, he was saying that he's a very good defensive coach, got some good defensive tricks, and you can see that in this. Luke Campbell, he was difficult to hit. Derry Matthews, obviously a big puncher. So this was a good opportunity for him to, practice a few of those. So where he goes from now, I'm not sure. In terms of the lightweight division, it's a very good division at the moment. In the UK, we've got people we haven't got two world champions now. Anthony Crolla just lost to Jorge Linares, but you've obviously got Crolla, Flanagan. You've also got, of course, you've got Linares. You've got Robert Easter Jr. in America, very good. Felix Bellew, Puerto Rican. There's a lot of good talent in that division, so there's no rush really for him. Although he is 29, I don't know. I'd like to see him have a couple more fights, really kind of consolidating this new stuff he's learning with his new coach, and then challenge maybe for a world title. Maybe two. I don't know. Who would you like to see him fight next? Who do you think would be an obvious choice for him? If you have any ideas, let me know in the comments section. Right, okay, last one then. Tony Bellew against BJ Flores. I thought that Tony Bellew was going to win by knockout or by stoppage. I thought that because I thought he's just on a high at the moment, and since he's moved up to cruiserweight, he seems like a much better fighter, a much bigger puncher, and he's just doing demolition jobs on people. Now I know BJ Flores had never been stopped before, but he seemed pretty nervous to me. He didn't seem like, to be honest, throughout the whole week. I thought maybe at the first press conference, that's one thing. The weigh-in, he still seemed didn't seem very comfortable. And then when he got into the ring, he just didn't look like he wanted to be there to me. So I was thinking with the mood that Tony Bellew was in, the confidence that he had, the fact that he was in Liverpool, and the fact that he's just such an aggressive fighter these days, I thought that Bellew was going to win by a stoppage. I didn't think he'd do it so early. BJ Flores, I mean, the first round he started off pretty good. He looked good to me. He looked like he was kind of good jab, like quite quick on his feet. Good, moved around quite well. And I gave the first round to him. Second round, Bellew just came out. Obviously meant business. Knocked him down a couple of times, and then he got kind of reckless though. Like he sort of hit him a couple of times, and then he was just kind of swinging, leaving himself wide open. I think Flores hurt him at one point. I seem to remember when they were having a bit of they were trading a little bit. I think Flores caught him with something, and his legs went at that moment. His legs stiffened up, and I thought, well, here we go. Like this could be bad news for Bellew. But he got through it, and then he. Just there, still trading with each other, which seems to be Bellew's new style now. At least it has been for the last couple of fights. He just seems like very aggressive. He's obviously a hard puncher. He's a much harder puncher here at cruiserweight than he was at light heavyweight. Whether he's going to be, whether he can compete with the top people in the division. I mean, I don't know how you pronounce his name. The Ukrainian. I mean, he looks very, very good to me. He looks a level above. I can't see Bellew. I hope I'm wrong, but I can't see Bellew beating him. I mean, he looks class. The Polish one as well. Is it Glowaski? Again, I'm not really sure how you pronounce his name. He looked very good as well. So we'll see. In any case, Tony Bellew seems to have his heart set on a fight with David Haye. Not really sure why. I don't really know what's going on there. But after the fight, there's a bit of a kind of WWF style antics from Bellew, which I liked. Good entertainment. He kind of went out the ring and he was going, oh, and David Haye's obviously there, kind of giving it a little bit. And then at one point, Bellew kind of climbed up onto the ring. I thought he was going to do a sort of Larry Holmes. I thought he was going to sort of jump into the crowd, like drop kick him. Or kind of try and do some WWF style body splash at one point. He didn't, unfortunately, would have been funny. And then he's saying no, he wants to fight David Haye. I saw an interview he did with IFL TV, and he was talking about he wants to, he's not going to say what he knows about why he does anything about Haye on camera because it's too bad and stuff like that. I don't know what's going on. I mean, Tony Bellew, this to me kind of came out of nowhere. He started off saying the bitch from Bermondsey from nowhere. He was talking about some other fight, saying he obviously had some problem with David Haye. Not really sure why that was, but who knows? Maybe there's something that going on behind the scenes. But it's kind of personal with him. I would say this with Tony Bellew, that he does seem to have these kind of bizarre beefs with people. I mean, I think I remember that the Nathan Cleverly, they had the first fight, and then he really got his knickers in a twist about Nathan Cleverly, and he really started to hate him. And I don't really understand why. The stuff that he was saying, to me, sounded like he was just trying to justify the fact that he was just hating on Cleverly. That he was going on about, he said it actually in this interview with IFL TV about, I showed kind of compassion and showed humility after the fight, and then Nathan Cleverly just kind of stuck two fingers up to me basically in the post-fight press conference and completely just mugged me off. I don't remember that happening. Can somebody clarify this for me? I mean, he was saying that they after the fight, they're like, "Oh, good fight, mate." Blah blah blah. It was a really tough fight, etc. etc. And then after that, Cleverly's there, just basically like, "Oh yeah, it was a piece of piss. Bellew's nothing." Blah. It was really disrespectful. Now that's not how I remember it at all. If I'm wrong, then please someone correct me. But I remember Nathan Cleverly being quite respectful. But Tony Bellew just sort of got it into his head that this was like some big thing, and like Nathan Cleverly had really sort of disrespected him. And to me, that was just him trying to justify his hatred of Nathan Cleverly. And then he was going around saying, "Oh, Nathan Cleverly, like he thinks he's better than everyone," and he's like, again, that's not really the impression that I got from Nathan Cleverly. I mean, he was sort of going around, with his nose up at everyone. Is that what other people think he was doing that? I mean, I certainly don't. If what he meant by that is Nathan Cleverly went to university and he doesn't walk around going, "Fuck off, you can't." Maybe, if that's what he means, then yeah. If that's what he means by thinking he's better than everyone, possibly. But I've always seen like Nathan Cleverly as quite a polite, respectful kind of character, not particularly arrogant or egotistical, pretty quiet. He's not the most talkative man or most charismatic man in the world, but I certainly don't get the impression that he's going around like kind of with his nose up at everyone, like thinking that he's really good, looking down on people. So I think this was just in Bellew's head. I remember seeing Spencer Fearon talking about it, and because he knows Bellew quite well and he likes him. Excuse me. He also knows Nathan Cleverly. And he was saying, like, I know Bellew is a good friend of mine, etc., etc. But Nathan Cleverly, he's a cool guy. I don't really understand, like, what, why he hates him so much. And he said to him as well. He said, like, because he said, he thinks he's this and he's that. He's like, yeah, I don't really see it, mate. I don't really see what. So I don't know. I don't know if this thing with like David Haye as well. David Haye hasn't really given much away, but he to me doesn't really seem like he knows like what Bellew's problem is either, to be honest with you. I think Bellew's the kind of character who, when he goes into a boxing match, he just gets really kind of militant and really, starts to really hate his opponent. So he said that David Haye has been the best British cruiserweight, best cruiserweight really of the last 10 years, since Evander Holyfield really. Been the best cruiserweight for the last decade. So maybe he say he wants that spot. So somehow amongst all that, he's then started to really hate David Haye. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is stuff behind the scenes. I wouldn't rule it out that he's got against David Haye. But yeah, to me, it just seems like another like that Tony Bellew with his kind of fake feuds with people. Who knows? In terms of the actual fight itself, I mean, I put my money on David Haye all day long. Tony Bellew has definitely improved. In the sense that he's more formidable now. He's a different kind of fighter. He used to box a bit more. Now he's moved up to cruiserweight. He's just turned into like a real big puncher. He's just kind of walking people down, no nonsense, just wanting to really have a sort of tear up with people. In this fight, he had basically zero head movement. He didn't even bother trying to block punches most of the time. Now, if he's going to do that with David Haye, then he's going to get knocked out sharpish. There's no way he can do that with David Haye. So I don't think he'll try. I think he'll realise that David Haye to take his head off if he fights like that. So what's he going to do instead? He's going to try to kind of box long range. I mean, the only person really that's been able to do that successfully in outboxing was Vladimir Klitschko. Now, Vladimir Klitschko is obviously like taller than David Haye. He's got longer reach than David Haye. Well, let's talk to Bellew. He's much taller than Bellew. He's got longer reach than Bellew. He's a much better boxer. He punches like much harder. He's much quicker on his feet as well. So he was able to beat David Haye at long range, and when David Haye tried to get him with one of his haymakers, he was just gone, very quick on his feet. And also, if David Haye did get too close, he obviously has got a great big sledgehammer right hand behind him. These are all things that Tony Bellew can't do. So I don't really see how he's going to change his tactics to beat David Haye like that. The only thing I would say is that obviously Tony Bellew is on a real run of form, got total confidence. He has a very big will to win. Tony Bellew, I think, big heart, and he really will try to win. He's obviously a big puncher, and he'll try and get in there, and who knows, but he does have a chance, and he's obviously a lot better than he was before. And David Haye could be worse than he was before. We don't know. We've just seen him fight a couple of mismatches. So we don't know. But if that fight got signed tomorrow, I would put all my money on David Haye. No two ways about it. Yeah. But anyway, let me know what you think about that. And yeah, well done congratulations. I know I've kind of had a bit of a go at him, but good performance by Bellew. Congratulations to him on that. Defended his title, knocked someone out who's never been knocked out. So fair play to him. Well done to Ryan Burnett and Luke Campbell. And yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for watching.